Hello, this is the Lord's Legion and welcome to a brand new movie review, and as you can see, this is a part of the series known as The Path to Infinity War, where I'm going to be looking back on each and every film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe up until the release of Avengers Infinity War. And moving on, we finally get to what many people would consider to be the most surprising inclusion into the Marvel Cinematic Universe thus far. That of course being Guardians of the Galaxy, to which many people would deem this to be one of the best sci-fi flicks of all time, as well as one of the strongest films in the MCU. But is Guardians of the Galaxy as good as everyone else makes it out to be? Well, let's find out. So the movie centers around some intergalactic outcasts who are known criminals, those consisting of Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, Groot and Rocket Raccoon. However, by the time some intergalactic warlord known as Ronan obtains the Orb of Power, to which everyone knows is the Power Stone, it is up to the galaxy's unlikeliest heroes to group together and try to stop Ronan from destroying Sandar, as well as taking the galaxy for himself. And as you can see, the story itself is very basic, but at the same time it really works in this film's favour, because Guardians of the Galaxy is an incredibly fun ride and surprisingly quite emotional at times. Now the film's biggest highlight is of course the main cast, which does consist of Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, and he really is one of the most enjoyable characters in the entire movie. He's hilarious, badass, and at times can be even cocky. Some say he's even the space version of Tony Stark, as Star-Lord can be a complete asshole, but he does have that fine balance. So Saldana does a pretty good job as Gamora, and although it's not necessarily the actress's fault by any means, but I do feel like that she does get overshadowed by the other characters at times. But given credit where it's due, at the very least Gamora isn't Hawkeye levels of redundant, because at the very least she does have her own time to shine in some areas. The most shocking performance in the entire movie is of course Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer, because nobody had any idea that he would actually pull this character off. And to everyone's surprise, he really does, because he is both tragic yet funny at the same time. And honestly, I think Drax is one of my favourite members in the whole Guardians of the Galaxy. And then we also have Bradley Cooper who voices Rocket Raccoon, as well as Vin Diesel who voices Groot. And both of them deliver fine performances as these characters. And these two characters in particular do have some of the best scenes in the entire film. And I especially love the CG on both of these characters because they look incredible on screen. Mickey Rourke plays as Yondu in this film, and he is supposed to be this smug asshole, but at the same time he isn't entirely unlikable, and that's what I really like about the character. I do wish we got a bit more out of the character, but from what we've got, he was pretty good regardless. Now many people heavily criticise Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser because he was just unmemorable to a lot of people, but me personally, I honestly thought he was a lot of fun. Could he have been further developed? Absolutely, but from what we've got of him, at least he was a fun villain. And he was a good enough threat for the Guardians of the Galaxy. And to me, Ronan's on the same level as the Red Skull in a sense, where they're both incredibly fun yet evil villains. And finally we have Karen Gillan as Nebula, and again I feel like she does have a pretty interesting origin, but the movie doesn't do a whole lot with her character, but at the very least she did have some kick-ass moments. Now like I already mentioned earlier, the effects are absolutely amazing, and I especially love how this movie incorporates both practical effects as well as CGI. And I especially love the setting in this movie because a lot of it seems somewhat gritty but at the same time futuristic. And it does feel like you're in a completely different universe. And speaking of universe, what really works in this film's favour is the fact that yes, it does plant the seeds for the future of the MCU, but at the same time it could stand on its own 2 feet. Because the Guardians of the Galaxy does have its own identity, and you don't have to watch any other film in the MCU to understand this side of the universe. And also, this film does pretty well with the fight scenes, most specifically with the Battle of Sandar as well as the prison fight. However, at times I do feel like the humour as well as the characters do overshadow the stakes as well as the action, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because I would rather have better characters than flashy action scenes. But at the end of the day, the Guardians of the Galaxy is an incredible fun romp from beginning to end. with its well-defined main cast, as well as some beautiful visuals, but most importantly, this film does have a lot of heart. And although the overall story isn't necessarily complex, it really didn't have to be, because this is just an ensemble movie and it's also the first one in the trilogy. All this movie really had to do was to establish its main characters, establish this new exciting part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just have a lot of fun, to which this film does nail. And yeah, it does have some flaws, but for the most part, the positives really outweigh the negatives. And so for my final verdict for Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10, because it really is an incredibly fun ride, and a really surprising inclusion into the MCU, while at the same time it has its own identity to stand on its own. So what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you think that this film is incredibly fun, or aren't you particularly interested within the cosmic side of the MCU? Comment below and share some thoughts, and as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, take care and have a good one.